Some disappearances begin with a single moment, a quiet choice, a hidden lie, a truth too heavy to speak. And sometimes, the most devastating tragedies unfold behind the warm glow of a family that looks perfect from the outside. Because evil doesn't always arrive with warnings, sometimes it walks in step with us, smiling, unnoticed. This is the story of a family that vanished after Sunday service, and the small town that was never the same again. For most people in the tight-knit town of Cedar Ridge, Sundays followed a familiar routine. Church bells, shared meals, and the lingering comfort of community. The Harper family fit perfectly into this rhythm. They were well-known, well-liked, and, to many, the picture of stability. Michael Harper, 42 years old, was a dedicated high school biology teacher, the kind who stayed late to tutor struggling students and returned early to prep for the next day. His wife, Emily, a 39-year-old community volunteer, was soft-spoken but deeply warm, always the first to organize meal drives, always the last to leave charity events after cleaning up. Their two children, 14-year-old Jonah and 9-year-old Lily, were the kind of kids people naturally gravitated toward. Jonah played piano at church, and Lily, with her bright smile, was known for leaving hand-drawn notes in the pews, simple sketches of flowers, stars, and hearts. Cedar Ridge adored the Harpers not because they demanded attention, but because they seemed to embody everything good and steady about small-town life. On the morning of May 14th, everything appeared normal. The Harpers arrived at Cedar Ridge Community Church a little past 9 a.m. Michael parked their silver SUV in their usual spot near the back lot. Emily waved to the choir director, Jonah carried his sheet music, and Lily skipped ahead holding a small stuffed lamb. It was, by all accounts, an ordinary Sunday morning. But by nightfall, the Harper home would be silent. Lights off, phones dead, and the entire family gone. Meanwhile, the town had no idea that beneath the calm surface of their lives, something was shifting, something quiet, something heavy, something that would soon tear everything apart. To outsiders, the Harpers were flawless. But behind closed doors, a subtle tension had been building for months, small enough to dismiss, yet steady enough to erode the foundation of their once steady life. It began with Michael's job. Declining school funding forced pay cuts, and rumors swirled that several teachers, including Michael, might lose their positions the following year. At home, the worry showed in subtle ways: a lingering stare at unpaid bills on the counter, the late-night murmurs between him and Emily, the thinning patience in his normally calm voice. Emily, on the other hand, seemed to be fighting her own battle, one much quieter and more private. A close friend later told investigators that Emily had been distracted in recent weeks. She skipped a few volunteer sessions, neglected texts she normally replied to instantly, and appeared tense in church meetings, flinching at sudden sounds, gripping her purse too tightly. She dismissed the concern, insisting she was just tired. Meanwhile, Jonah had become unusually withdrawn. His piano instructor mentioned that he fumbled during practice, something he never did. The boy who once volunteered to help clean after recitals now left quickly, eyes down. Lily, too, seemed anxious, clinging to her mother more often, her normally bright drawings suddenly filled with darker hues. Still, no one voiced suspicion. Because in Cedar Ridge, the Harpers were a good family. The strong family. The family nothing bad could touch. But investigators would later say the most important clue was right there, weeks before the disappearance: a sudden shift in power inside the Harper household. Michael, once openly affectionate with his family, grew controlling, subtle at first, then unmistakable. He monitored calls, questioned every dollar spent, and repeatedly asked Emily if she was keeping things from him. Friends assumed it was stress. Maybe insecurity. Something small. They had no idea it was the beginning of something far more troubling. On the day of the disappearance, May 14th, church ended at 11:32 a.m. Several members recalled that the Harpers stayed a little longer than usual. Michael spoke briefly with Pastor Lewis, Emily chatted with one of the choir mothers, and the children played near the church steps. At approximately 11:55 a.m., the family got into their SUV and drove off. They were never seen again. That evening, at 6:42 p.m., the first sign that something was wrong appeared. Pastor Lewis tried calling Emily about a charity meeting scheduled for the next day, but her phone went straight to voicemail. He didn't think much of it until Jonah's piano instructor called him an hour later. Jonah had missed his private lesson for the first time in 3 years. By 9:15 p.m., neighbors noticed the Harper house was dark. Not dim. Not quiet. Completely dark. Cars in the driveway, curtains drawn, no movement inside. A neighbor walked to the front door and knocked. No answer. Then she noticed something unnerving. Lily's stuffed lamb lay abandoned on the front porch. A child who carried that toy everywhere would never leave it behind willingly. Meanwhile, the Harper dog, an elderly golden retriever named Daisy, was heard whining inside the house. She wasn't barking, just whining softly, as though anxious and alone. These clues, subtle but disturbing, would later be recognized as the first signs that something had gone terribly wrong. The next morning, May 15th, the neighbor who last saw the Harpers contacted the Cedar Ridge police. Officers conducted a welfare check at 9:03 a.m., expecting to find a family sleeping in or perhaps having left early. But what they found instead only deepened the mystery. The front door was unlocked. The kitchen table was set for lunch, 4 plates, 2 juice boxes, and a bowl of fresh fruit. Jonah's backpack sat open, homework halfway done. Lily's shoes were beside the couch. Daisy wandered anxiously from room to room, tail low. But the family was nowhere. Meanwhile, officers made a chilling discovery in the garage. The Harper SUV was gone. No signs of struggle. No broken furniture. No overturned chairs. Just a house that looked paused in the middle of a normal day. But investigators were about to uncover something chilling, something that hinted the disappearance was no accident. At first, police believed the Harpers might have left town unexpectedly. A family emergency. A spontaneous road trip. Something simple. But that theory collapsed almost immediately. 1. Financial records. On May 16th, investigators checked Michael and Emily's bank accounts. No recent withdrawals. No credit card activity. No purchases after 11:58 a.m. on the day of the disappearance. Families who flee don't leave their financial lives untouched. 2. Michael's computer. A forensic review of Michael's work laptop revealed a string of frantic searches spanning several weeks. How to track someone without them knowing. Signs your spouse is lying. What to do if your wife is hiding something. This was already disturbing, but then investigators found something far worse. 3. Emily's hidden phone. Buried deep in the master bedroom closet was a second phone, Emily's secret phone. Prepaid. Registered under a false name. On that device were messages between Emily and an unknown contact saved only as R. The content wasn't romantic. It wasn't scandalous. It was something else. Fear. Emily repeatedly described feeling watched. Trapped. Afraid to confront Michael's sudden paranoia. She mentioned arguments, accusations, and a moment when Michael allegedly grabbed her arm so tightly she had to ice it afterward. But the most unsettling message was the last one, sent at 10:47 a.m., right before church. If anything happens today, please remember what I told you. He's not the man he used to be. Investigators now realized that the Harper disappearance wasn't random. It was the climax of something dark simmering beneath their perfect exterior. Meanwhile, while police combed through digital evidence, volunteers searched local woods and backroads. Drones scanned the forest. Search dogs traced scents that abruptly ended near the highway, suggesting the family had been transported elsewhere. Then, on May 18th, investigators received their first major break. 4. The SUV. A park ranger spotted the Harper SUV abandoned near an overlook 30 miles north of Cedar Ridge. Keys still inside. Driver's seat pushed far back, not matching Michael's height. And in the back seat, a crumpled church bulletin stained with what looked like dirt and grass. Again, no signs of violence. But something was wrong. Terribly wrong. 5. The power shift. As detectives reconstructed the last weeks of the Harpers' lives, a narrative began to form, one that pointed to a dramatic shift in control inside the family. One that suggested that someone, somewhere, had seized power in a quiet but destructive way. Was it Michael's fear spiraling out of control? Was Emily planning to leave? Or was there a third person involved, the mysterious R? This question lingered as investigators moved into the next phase of the case. By late June, the disappearance of the Harper family had become national news. Search teams expanded statewide. Rewards grew. Rumors multiplied. But on June 28th, everything changed. A storm hit Cedar Ridge, flooding the river and eroding parts of the forest trail near the ridge. After the waters receded, a local hiker reported seeing something unusual near the lower creek bed. Investigators arrived quickly, and what they found would end the search, but not the mystery. Near the creek were fragments of the Harpers' belongings, Emily's purse, Jonah's sheet music, Lily's drawing notebook, pages soaked and stuck together. But there were still no bodies. No footprints. No conclusive evidence of what had actually happened. The official verdict, pending further discovery, was that the Harpers had likely met with foul play. Justice, however, remained painfully incomplete. And yet, something about the case still felt unfinished. Unanswered. Unresolved. Because investigators had one more clue, one detail no one could explain. RS' last message to Emily. Sent minutes before the Harpers vanished. If he tries anything today, go to the place we talked about. I'll be waiting. But there was no reply. No follow-up. No sign Emily ever made it to that secret location. Who was R? What did they know? And why did they disappear from all digital records the same day the Harpers did? For now, those questions remained unanswered. Some truths stay buried because someone wants them to stay that way. Other truths claw their way to the surface no matter how deep they're hidden. And when the truth finally rises, it has the power to shatter illusions, rewrite narratives, and expose the darkness we refuse to see. The disappearance of the Harper family was one of those truths, silent, suffocating, waiting for the right moment to be heard. 1 week after the case was suspended, a deputy doing routine rounds in Cedar Ridge drove past the Harper home, still untouched, still frozen in time. Windows taped, property fenced, police signs on the door. But he noticed something strange. The back porch light, which had been disconnected during the investigation, was on. He radioed it in, thinking it might have been a surge or a wiring issue. But when officers entered the backyard, they found something chillingly intentional. A piece of paper taped to the back door. Wrinkled from rain. Edges curled. 2 words written in thick black ink. Check again. It was unsigned. No prints. No smudges. Nothing stolen. Nothing disturbed. But something about it was deliberate. Like someone wanted to push the case back into motion. Investigators reopened the scene immediately. And what they found would ignite the final chapter of the Harper mystery. During the first investigation, the Harper home had been meticulously searched. But in re-entering the house with fresh eyes, a new detective noticed something others had missed. The attic door. Not the attic itself, the string. Most attics have a string or handle used to pull the stairs down. The Harpers did too. But this one had a detail overlooked the first time. A single red thread tied tightly around it. Almost invisible unless you were looking for it. Investigators climbed up. At first glance, the attic was empty, just old boxes and Christmas lights. But after a few minutes, the faintest draft could be felt, coming from the wall behind a stack of storage bins. They moved the bins aside. Behind them, hidden perfectly within the wooden framework, was a false panel. When detectives removed it, an icy wave ran through the room. Inside the compartment was a burner phone, powered off. Beside it, a folded map of Cedar Ridge, marked in red circles. A handwritten note. And a USB drive. The note had only one sentence. He wasn't supposed to find out. Until that moment, investigators believed someone had abducted the Harpers from the outside. But the new evidence suggested something far more personal, far more intimate, and far more devastating. This wasn't a random disappearance. This was the culmination of a secret hidden inside the Harper home. The burner phone in the attic was the breakthrough investigators desperately needed. When digital forensics cracked the device, they accessed unsent drafts, deleted messages, and timestamps. And one truth became clear. R was real. R was close. And R had been terrified. Among the recovered data was a text draft that had never been sent. "Emily, I can't protect you if he knows. Meet me at the Overlook. If he finds out what we found, we're all in danger." Detectives cross-referenced the patterns, the address records, and eventually connected the phone to a registered tower hit from months earlier. A hit near Cedar Ridge Community Church. A hit belonging to Rachel Merritt, Emily's closest friend. A woman who volunteered with her weekly, who had babysat Jonah and Lily, who knew the Harpers intimately. Rachel Merritt had disappeared from town 2 months before the Harpers vanished. Everyone assumed she moved to Idaho to care for her mother. But that was only the story she left behind. The real story was far darker. With Rachel identified as R, investigators pieced together the real timeline. Months before the disappearance, Rachel discovered something disturbing, something involving Michael. Something he was keeping hidden. Financial records, emails on his school laptop, and late-night activities he never explained. Rachel confronted Emily privately. Emily was horrified, but afraid. Together, they began gathering information secretly. They didn't go to police yet. Not because they didn't want to, but because whatever they discovered implicated someone dangerous, someone connected to multiple families in Cedar Ridge. But then, Michael found out. Not everything. Just enough to panic. His sudden change in behavior, his paranoia, his surveillance on Emily, it all stemmed from one truth. He knew someone was investigating him. He suspected Emily. He suspected someone close. And then, on the day of the disappearance, everything came to a head. Based on recovered messages, GPS records, and an analysis of Michael's movements, investigators reconstructed the last hours of the Harpers. 10:47 a.m., before church. Emily texts Rachel, "If anything happens today, please remember what I told you." Rachel replies, "Meet me at the place. Please." He knows. 12:03 p.m., after church. The Harpers leave. But instead of going home, they drive north. Investigators realized something crucial: they weren't fleeing. They were following Emily's plan. She was taking her children to the pre-arranged meeting with Rachel, the Overlook. But Michael had found the messages that morning. Jonah's testimony, recorded secretly months earlier by Rachel, revealed Michael had confronted Emily about the lies and the secrets. In the car, tension boiled over. Michael didn't explode. He didn't yell. He did something far more frightening. He drove silently, eyes forward, jaw clenched, ignoring Emily's pleas. According to tire mark analysis near the Overlook, Michael never intended to stop. He kept driving, past the Overlook, past the turnoff, and into the dense forest where GPS signals died. What happened next was pieced together through physical evidence found weeks later. The Harpers exited the SUV. There was an argument. Emily tried to run. Michael caught her. But then, a third person arrived. A witness in the distance, unknown at the time, reported hearing a scream and seeing a woman running through the trees. Rachel. She had come to warn Emily. She had come to protect the children. But she was too late. A struggle erupted. Voices shouting. And then, silence. Complete silence. By the time the witness reached the clearing minutes later, the forest was empty. The SUV was abandoned. And the Harpers, along with Rachel, were gone. The truth would remain buried until the storm uncovered the first belongings near the creek bed. Investigators realized something chilling. Michael didn't vanish. He hid. Not as a missing victim, but as a perpetrator. And the red thread in the attic? A signature used by Rachel to tag hidden compartments when documenting evidence. Rachel had been in the Harper home after the disappearance. She left the message, "Check again." She knew investigators had missed something, and she wanted them to find the truth. The false panel in the attic was her last breadcrumb. With renewed urgency, investigators turned to the forest again, this time expanding the search 3 miles north of the Overlook. 3 days later, they found it. A collapsed hunting shack, partially hidden in the undergrowth. Inside, they discovered Emily's bracelet, Jonah's broken earbuds, Lily's favorite blue hair clip, a torn piece of Michael's shirt, and, in a locked trunk beneath the floorboards, Rachel's journal. Her final entry stopped investigators cold. He wants to take them deeper into the ridge. I'm following. I won't let him hurt them. If I don't return, tell the truth, I never abandoned my mother. I stayed to save my friend. Her body was found 200 yards behind the shack, under a natural rock formation caused by the storm's erosion. She had died protecting the Harpers. And 40 feet from her, buried beneath fallen branches and soil, they found the Harper family, together, intact, and at last, home. Michael, Emily, Jonah, and Lily had all died from exposure and dehydration over several days. Evidence showed Emily had tried desperately to keep her children alive. Michael's injuries indicated he had fallen during the forest struggle. His fractured ribs punctured his lung. He died first. Emily and the children died later, trapped, lost, and unable to escape without resources. Rachel had tried to reach them until her last breath. The disappearance wasn't a calculated murder. It wasn't a kidnapping. It was a tragic collapse caused by a man spiraling into fear and control, a man who made a terrible decision in a moment of panic, then lost control of the consequences. But justice isn't always a courtroom verdict. Sometimes justice is the truth finally coming to light. And now, the light had arrived. In the weeks that followed, Rachel Merritt was honored as a hero. A memorial was built for her in Cedar Ridge, engraved with the words, "She stayed. She fought. She protected." The Harper family was mourned deeply, finally laid to rest together as they had been found. The school district investigated the financial corruption Michael had uncovered, leading to the arrest of a board member running an embezzlement scheme. Michael had discovered the truth but grew convinced that Emily had betrayed him. Fear walked into obsession. Obsession led to paranoia. And paranoia led to tragedy. Cedar Ridge healed slowly, but it never forgot what happened. And it never forgot the warning signs. Some tragedies come from evil. Others come from fear. And some come from the lies we tell ourselves to avoid facing the truth. Michael Harper wasn't a monster. He was a man terrified of losing control. A man who mistook fear for betrayal. A man who let suspicion win over trust, and in doing so, destroyed the people he loved most. Emily spent her final days fighting for her children. Rachel spent her final breath trying to save them. And in their courage, in their sacrifice, lies the lesson this story leaves behind. Real strength isn't about control. It's about protection. It's about truth. It's about choosing courage over fear, even when fear feels easier. Because evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it looks like someone you trust. Sometimes it looks like someone is losing themselves. And sometimes, it looks like silence that goes unheard until it's too late. Justice was finally served, not through punishment, but through truth. Through understanding. Through the courage of the women who tried to stop a tragedy before it unfolded. And now, their story will not be forgotten. Thank you for watching. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button for more untold stories, and make sure you click the notification bell so you don't miss our next case.